And we're live.
Oh. Better put my phone away.
All right. Sorry, I just had to wet the whistle. So, welcome everyone, whoever is tuning in to listen to us talk about Crash Camp, Jase's experience in the lead up to it, and what comes next in Jase's storyline. So, Jase, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
All right. Can we not eat during this?
I was trying to get it down because I got to go train after this real quick.
All right.
But
Well,
yeah,
is that the
I got
last bite?
I have like one more bite.
All right, fine. I will talk while Jace finishes eating like a complete savage, not on mute, just letting you hear him smack his food. So from here, guys, I'll start off by just giving a little background of what Crash Crucible is and Camp Crash was. J.R. Howell has been a pivotal person in the space in regards to analytics of programming for the CrossFit Games, assessing who's going to be a good up-and-coming athlete, and also organizing one of the best events in the space year after year. Crash Crucible started out in 2020 whenever COVID hit and everything was canceled. So a lot of the semifinal events were canceled that year. JR saw that as his opportunity to bring the high-level athletes in his network together to compete, give them an opportunity to showcase all of the work they put in for that season. And he put together his event. Crash Crucible started off on a really high note. I believe Jason Hopper won the first year of it. So that was definitely a staple moment in proving that this competition is a proving ground for the up and coming athletes in the space. From there, JR's event in 2020 was such a hit in programming, flow, execution of organization, timeliness, etc. It set a really high standard, and honestly, it was just the springboard to get this ball rolling. So year after year, JR has repeated that standard. I don't think he has missed the mark one time in its 6 years or 6 events that he's had. And through his exposure of media in the space, he has definitely grown in popularity as well as the event itself, attracting games athletes alike. And basically, if you're an up-and-coming athlete in the sport and you want to go to the CrossFit Games, I would say it needs to be on your radar. It's a non-negotiable because of the quality of event that it is. So with that said, that sort of framework, that foundation laid for our conversation, coming off a NorCal Classic at the end of Jase's season, Jase got 10th place. At the end of the weekend, we acknowledged that Jase's downfalls at NorCal were predominantly skill-based and skill capacity tests that were his lowest finishes. So when I saw that on the leaderboard, we talked about it and reflected upon it. We thought that it was a no-brainer that Crash was going to be his off-season event, and it would give us clear structure and clear progressions to work towards to see if we can improve that skill endurance based on JR's biases. JR's not afraid to think outside the box and incorporate a wide range of unique implements, unique gymnastics movements, and really high skill combinations of movements that you don't really get to see at any other event. So that said, we believed that this was going to be the event that fit Jase's needs the most. So we started progressions to work towards doing the qualifier for Crash in August. And that was basically our end goal. Our end goal was to get Jase ready to qualify for the event if needed, and then go and compete at Crash in October. Jase, what happened between NorCal and Crash Crucible or Camp Crash this year? What was your summer like?
Just like you said, coming off of NorCal, like I was really skill limited. I wanted to work on specific things like overhead pressing and ring muscle ups, and a lot of like what was it? Midline endurance was another one. That was a big part of that. So we backed off on a few other things like strength and running endurance and some things that had been like core staples in my training leading up to NorCal, and started to really focus in on some of the gaps that I needed to fill for what we thought might be at Camp Crash this year. lots and lots of handstand push-up progressions, lots and lots of ring muscle ups, GHDs, toes to bar, a lot of like skill-based combinations that weren't quite as fatiguing as a lot of the lead up to NorCal was, or some of the other things that I had been doing prior in my CrossFit.
So after finishing 10th place at NorCal, we asked JR if he would potentially be able to get an invite, and JR at NorCal said no, which is why
I thought we talked to John Young
John
first.
Young, sure.
Yeah. And John Young was like, hell no, dude, you suck.
So clearly we felt that we had plenty of work to be done over the summer. And to Jase's point, we just narrowed in on his limitations. And it wasn't necessarily the most well-rounded CrossFit training, but we did a lot of limitation training, and we focused on the components throughout his summer months. Right before, or fortunately for Jase, John Young was wrong, and JR ended up sending out invites, and Jase got one. So we got to forego the qualifier, which actually, in my opinion, is always a good thing, because people get to spend time training more rather than worrying about competing and taking a week off of progression. So Jase continued to he actually deloaded that week that he would have had to compete and reset to the next batch of progressions. Leading into the event itself, Jase ended up PRing a handful of metrics. I believe he hit a lifetime PR of max set of ring muscle ups. He hit a max clean lifetime PR. He improved his 50 strict handstand push-ups per time by 1 whole minute in just a 10-week progression. And then he hit a lifetime push press PR. Am I missing something? A mile run PR of 5:20. And so I would say that we built up the components of his game really, really well over the summer. And it gave us a lot of confidence coming into Crash. So let's fast forward a little bit. The events get announced. What was your gut reaction when you saw him on paper?
I knew I was going to suck. Like, looking at it, I was like, these are all the things that have plagued me in CrossFit, is what it felt like, except for a couple of the events. Like the sled pole event with the deadlifting. I knew that one was going to be okay. And that was pretty much the only one where I was like, yeah, I'm confident I can do that. And the rest of them there is something in there that is a complete unknown to me. Like, I don't know what's going to happen on that floor. Like, I know I'll do well in this portion, but this other portion also takes all of the capacity that I built somewhere else away if you mess it up. So I was just extremely nervous walking in and kind of expected to be just absolutely crushed by everyone.
All right. Well, that was not the conversation I remember having, but that's okay. I think the implements, definitely the unknown portion of each event could add a question mark, but I feel like we were pretty confident in certain things, right? There were some things that we were like, oh, you should do really well at this thing. This event, and coincidentally we were honestly wrong about what was going to be his best finishes, what were going to be his worst finishes. I think we hit the nail on the head too, but we thought he was going to have really strong finishes and a couple others that were not really the case. Not really the case at all.
Not at all.
So let's dive into them.
Do you remember when we were talking about it prior to Crash starting? Like, I don't know if you were there for this conversation, but during check-in, John Young, I was just chatting with him, and he's like, "How do you feel about this?" And I just look at him, and I'm like, "I'm scared. Like, I'm so scared." And that was like a big thing that like I had been telling Michaela prior to this, as well as Shanna. Like, I would just talk to her, and she'd be like, "Yeah, you got a tough week ahead of you." And I'm like, "I'm legitimately afraid that these people are gonna beat me like a sad puppy dog." Like.
Yeah, I do remember you saying that you were nervous but excited, and I didn't really take that as fearful or like uncertain, right? I think it was like just the pressure and the buildup and the anticipation based on really like the field of athletes you're going to compete against, the level of competition you're at. I would say this was the highest level field that you've ever been in.
I would agree. Yeah.
And it was exciting. So I would like
Definitely
to go
exciting to get to test out what I've been working so hard on. So
for sure.
that was probably the thing that I was most excited for. Yeah.
All right. So let's go through event by event. If possible, we'll try to get a screenshot or the event itself pulled up on the screen for you. If Todd in the background can do that, that'd be awesome. But event 1 was essentially, I believe it's 5 rounds in total. 11, 9, 7,
5. Yes.
Yep. So 5 rounds in total of 25 toes to bar, 100 double unders, and front squats at ascending weight, descending reps. The first bar was 225 and the last bar was 305, going by 20-pound increments. So that said, how did that event play out for you?
Do you want to like an overview, or do you want like a play-by-play through the whole entire thing? Or
let's go. Let's just go overview of how did testing roll for you, and then how did it shake out on game day?
All right. So testing, I knew walking into it, like toes to bar and double unders that's one of the combinations that's kind of not been the greatest for me specifically. But I was hopeful that the weight of the front squats would play into it enough to where it would give me an opportunity to catch up, essentially. So in testing, I kind of started out pretty aggressive just to see what would happen. It was a 20-minute time cap. So I was trying to squeeze in to where I thought the race would be. Long story short, like the double unders and toes to bar really, really blew me up, and the front squatting slowed down quite a bit. And I finished it in like 24:30 or something in testing. So 4.5 minutes over time cap. And when that happened, I was like, well, this is probably going to be a really rough finish for me to start the week. And it didn't install like the most amount of confidence. But one of the things that I kept telling myself was like, hey, if it's hard for you, it's hard for everybody. Like nobody catches a break on these workouts. So sent the video of the workout over to Harley, and he kind of watched it over, and we came up with a game plan for how to get the best score out of it for me and my situation. And essentially what we came up with was try and essentially meet that 20-minute time cap, to where you have just enough time to sneak in under it and you're not exploding yourself early on in the workout.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you hit the nail on the head. And in testing, came out a little bit fast. You pushed the pace in the early rounds, I would say, too aggressively, and it caused the later rounds just to be substantially slower than the first. So just like many open workouts, coincidentally, it's called open season. Many open workouts reward you to go a little slower in the front and maintain through the middle and the back end to have more of an even split across the board. And I think that we accomplished that on game day through strategic breaks and creating rep schemes that made sense for you. And you executed really well up until you didn't, right? And that was around that 15-minute mark. It seemed like the wheels kind of came off. And I think that that's just one of those things where it's like, we anticipated that to be a better workout for you on paper based on what you've thrived in before in the sport, in the space. But just due to the ascending reps, I don't think that you had a really hard time with longer time domain workouts. You know, last season, I think hammered them enough that you were comfortable there. Mm-hmm. And regardless of your confidence in double unders and toes to bar, I think that you weren't behind the curve on paper before the off season. Right. Mm-hmm. But I've talked to a few other coaches about this workout. I think that the conclusion is that this workout is super metabolic. It is far more of a pure CrossFit balanced workout than any other, you saw across the weekend. And it exposed that we need to work on that, right? Like we did our off season right in building up the components, but we have to do our preseason better and put in the components back together so we can utilize what we built up to make you a far and beyond better athlete than previous years. So the outcome for that one, do you recall your total score?
22nd place. I
Right.
don't know what I could look it up possibly. The
You
points that I received.
Oh, well, I wasn't gonna get into the point system
Oh, okay.
necessarily. I was thinking more of like how many reps did you get? The outcome, spoiler alert, was that he didn't quite finish. He had time to finish at the 15-minute mark. He was starting his final round. And essentially, like I said, the wheels came off there. And
Tell him what
you
happened. Tell him what happened.
you stood still for about 50 seconds before starting your next set of toast to bar. And you just looked around the room very like dazed.
That's so
And
crazy.
then out of nowhere, you did one set of toast to bar. I think you did 3 or 4, came down and immediately started dry heaving and asking for a bucket. So I think that was genuinely, you almost emptied the tank literally on the floor. So
I did. I did.
you ended up finishing by the 3 front squats.
Yeah.
You finished
had-
your 100 double unders. Once you regained some composure, I would say that you actually attacked those double unders really well. You regained enough composure throughout the small sets of toast to bar that you did the 100 double unders in, I think, 40, 30, 30 or 50, 30, 20.
It was 50-50.
50-50. Ooh.
It was 50-50. Because
Right.
I knew I was running out of time and I wanted one attempt at that heavy barbell. And by the time that I got to it, I had nothing.
Right. Yeah. You had about 12 seconds to make it happen. And you ended up approaching the bar and giving a good deadlift right about that, 5-second mark to the finish line. So, or the time cap. So not the best start to the weekend, starting off with a 22nd place and a red bar on your battery, whatever the P score was. They were showing you how you were relative to the field. It wasn't the best, most confident start.
No.
But you didn't get 0 points, and some people did. So there you go. Moving on, we have a gymnastics bias test. Event 2 was 4 rounds, 7 ring muscle ups, 5 parallel bar or P bar traverses, 21 GHD sit ups, and 5 P bar traverses back. 4 rounds. I don't recall the time cap. 12-minute time cap. Thanks for pulling that up, Todd. And this is on paper, honestly, an unnerving event for me, looking at what we did over the summer, because I'm like, well, this is the test. This is what we worked on.
Straight up.
Did it work? Go ahead, take it away. Tell your story, man.
Yeah, I think that this story is best told looking at it like starting from NorCal Classic, because at NorCal there was one event, and I think it was my worst event over the entire weekend, and that was 30 ring muscle ups for time, essentially with a little bit of shuttle running in between, but that wasn't really that big of a deal. So these 30 ring muscle ups, I had an absolute meltdown in the middle of. I'm telling my coach to shut the hell up because what he's telling me isn't working. Like, it was just a classic total meltdown. And I think I finished bottom 3rd or 30th or something like that. It was a terrible finish at North Cal for me. So looking at that, we created this plan through the entire off season to really work on my pressing endurance and ring muscle ups and things like that. And then, like Harley said, like, it's unnerving to kind of see this on paper because it's like, all right, either it worked or it didn't. Like, there's no hiding essentially when you see a workout like this. And another thing is, like, midline endurance has been a struggle for me. So like the GHD component in combination with like already struggling with the ring muscle ups, it was just like really scary. So we put the work to the test. We kind of tested a few things in training because we knew the workout beforehand, and they actually went surprisingly well. And I was like, well, I may have an opportunity to go unbroken in this one if everything kind of works out correctly. So do you want me to go through the workout itself and how the workout went?
Sure.
All right.
Take it. Keep rolling.
So round 1, it starts off with the 7 ring muscle ups. And like J.R. Hall said in his initial release of these workouts, he's like, those first 7 are a gimme. So I was like, all right, they have to be unbroken. Everyone's going unbroken on the first round. Went well. P-bar traverse. In practice, I had set up some fence rail posts and just practice walking down the fence rail posts because P-bars are kind of a unique piece of equipment that not many people have. So we all set up like our own rendition of how we can get closest to what we might see. And did the P-bar traverse and then went over to the GHD, kind of took a deep breath and was like, all right, these also have to go unbroken. And then we'll assess from here what I can do. They went well. They all went unbroken and they kind of stuck. So I was like, sweet, let's do the P-bar traverse. And then we're back on the ring muscle ups. And I knew like this was going to be the moment where if it felt really hard, I knew that that was going to be the moment where like I started to fall behind. So I was like, let's get these 7 in and see what happens and just pray that they work. All 7 ring muscle ups just went up pretty good. I didn't even have to take a big break before them. The short break, of course, but not like a massive break. And I was like, all right, like we're in business right now. Got my P-bars done and we're back on the GHD. And I was like, okay, let's get these ones done too. Hopefully I can keep this ball rolling. All 21 went unbroken and they felt smooth. So I was like, all right, like it's happening. Don't panic. Just be consistent. Get all the reps. So continue down the P-bar, chalked up my hands to collect myself before the 3rd round of ring muscle ups. Hopped up there and all 7 went unbroken again. And at this point, like I'm freaking out. I'm like, holy crap, is this about to happen? And I'm like overly excited on the floor right now. I get my P-bar traverse done and I'm like, okay, if these next round of GHD sit-ups go well, like we're going unbroken on this whole thing. We have to fly. And they did. All unbroken. I was like, okay, like I'm not even like crying on these GHDs because they hurt so bad. Or well, you should have seen me yesterday with the GHDs that you gave me. Like they were really, really, really slow on the last 10. But these ones felt great. And I was so excited. Get back across the P-bar. And I'm like, last round of ring muscle ups. And Harley's screaming at me. He's like, jump up. And I'm like, okay, like I want to, but I should probably get some chalk on my hands first. Cause I'm like scared. I'm like, just don't fail anything. Like I was so close to doing it right. And I remember it was like 5 and I was like, okay, I have 2 more. Like these are a little bit sticky, but I have 2 more. And then it was like the 6th rep went up and I was like, oh my goodness, if I can just catch the turnover, I can flail my legs around like a dolphin and get up.
I had like a PTSD moment from NorCal. I was like, he's going to fail his last rep right now.
Yeah.
And then he didn't, which was great. It made it happen.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh no, what if he fails this last rep? I don't know why I thought that. That's not the most supportive way to think, but like, that's just what came to my mind.
But like the moment had been so big and like, it felt like pure luck almost, but there had been so much work that went into it over the off season that like when my hips came up and the turnover happened, I'm sure that Harley was probably like on the sideline, like,
yeah, you know, just, and then as soon as it was over, I was like, well, don't slow down now. Like you got through the hard stuff. I'm like, go faster.
Yeah. And I come down and I'm like looking over at him and he's like, go, you go. And I get across the P-bar and I go to hop in. He's like, get your feet in the stirrups. I'm like, okay, like this is my last breath, and all 21 GHDs go smooth again.
The only thing I could pick on is just those transitions in the later round, that last round. I was just like, dude, you have nothing to hold back for. Like you have absolutely nothing. And so that's why I got so into it, so excited. Whatever. The summer of work, the off season of work truly just came together in that moment for me, right? Selfishly. I'm just living vicariously through Jase at this point. I'm just like, man, we did it. Like this was the hole and we filled that thing and it worked out really well. He ended up getting 10:06 overall for time. It took him 10 minutes and 6 seconds, 12th place finish overall, which essentially was just middle of the pack. From a time spread standpoint. So for those who don't know P-score, it's relative to the fastest time and the median time. And it creates a spread of where the bell curve is. And essentially he was just like smack dab in the middle of it. And but in placement of order of finishing, he was 12th, right? So he's we've now filled in a deficiency that where he was well behind the curve of his peers, and now he is absolutely in the middle of it in regards to who's the fastest people in the world and who are the slower people. So he is now, filled in, bridged that gap. We've filled in that disparity, and from here now it's just trying to build that up to where he's in that top end of the field rather than the middle. But I think that we did our job over the offseason. I'm really excited about how that one turned out. All right.
Yeah,
so
that one felt really good.
Yeah.
Especially after event one. Like,
oh, for sure. Same day, you just like got kicked in the teeth, threw up a little bit, and
little bit.
And then you had to like refuel, go rest, come back to what was your weaknesses, and then you just thrived. So I mean, I think there's something to this first event, man. You haven't done a really good first event at any comp I've ever seen you do. So I don't know what's going on there, but maybe we'll talk about it after. Moving on, event 3, Hindsight 2030. It is an interval-based workout. Each interval gets longer and longer as you go. Basically, JR added in one movement each interval. So it goes from a 6-minute window to a 7-minute window to an 8-minute window, I believe. Is that correct? I can't read that on the screen there.
10-minute window on the
so 6-minute window, 8-minute window, 10-minute window, I believe. And he's adding one movement each interval. So very, very
Shannon's comment. It's like a Vellner.
Yeah.
Just dig a hole and then try and climb out of it.
Yeah, you just can't make it too easy on the other people, So so this workout, we ran through and testing the middle portion, a couple of intervals. So essentially the middle portion is 20 cal row, 30 burpees over a block, 20 overhead squats at 100 pounds. It was at 30 cal bike, and then 20 box clears at 30 inches. So we did that portion of it twice because I figured that no matter what, he's going to do the last 30 squats unbroken. It's probably more beneficial to know how that middle portion feels, and at the very least, how long it's going to take. So, Jase, how did testing go for you in that? What did you learn from the testing, and then what did we change on game day?
So in testing, I just ran it like a lot of my interval work goes. And I kind of went like let's see if I can get negative splits route, see if I can move faster and faster and faster sort of deal. And it worked well. Like I thought that I did relatively well in what my peers might do, because I was able to go like smooth, consistent reps on the burpees. I was able to do my box clears, pretty quickly, like I think it's like 3 to 4 seconds per rep is what I was averaging. And all my overhead squats had gone unbroken. And as far as pacing goes on the machines, I chose to do my pacing at like 12 to 1300 on the rower, and then I was like at 1100 or 1200 on the bike erg. And I was like, yeah, this feels pretty comfortable, and like I can do it potentially a little bit faster on game day, but I was like, yeah, this is about where it's going to be. When it came to game day, Harley's like, your machine paces, at least on the row, are not fast enough. So see if you can pick the row pace up and then hold the same pace on the biker before you get to the box jump overs. And if everything goes well, that should be enough to get you a decent score. And for the most part, that worked, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that especially having, it was Ethan, right? Ethan.
Yeah,
Sheb,
Ethan.
Sheeb. I don't know how to say his last name appropriately, so I apologize for butchering that. But Ethan in your heat, that's where he made a splash on our radar. Ethan is incredibly powerful on machines. He is an ex-high-level hockey player. His leg endurance is exceptional. So at the start of round 1, I'm right behind Jase, telling him, hey, get that 1600. Just stay right there. It's okay. And I look over, and this other guy is holding 2,000. I'm like, oh, no. Either this guy's going to explode or he's going to be someone to keep an eye on. And lo and behold, he did not explode. He is incredibly fit in that style workout. Watching it from my perspective, Jase held the paces that we asked him to in the rounds 1 and 2. In the second round, he was beating Ethan onto the bike, but then Ethan would basically surpass him in that second machine before going to the box clears. Looking just across the field, Jase's ability to bound and clear the box was just ahead of everyone else. There was only one or two other people in all of the heats that were able to make them look as effortless. And I think Jase executed those well to keep himself relatively in the fight. And then after round 2, because that's what we had tested, it was really exciting to see that on game day, even after doing a round before that with limited rest, Jase was about 15 to 20 seconds ahead of his testing pace. So I'm like, okay, great. He's doing it as long as he doesn't panic, melt down, slow down, whatever you want to call it. I think we're going to be okay. And it was really fortunate to have Ethan in his heat, because after event 1, he was in a lower heat than I think he should have been. He wasn't able to race the people he wanted to be racing. And Ethan absolutely earned the right to move up the leaderboard as well, because he was also in a heat he shouldn't have been in. And it was very exciting to see these two guys who were clearly fitter than the heat they were in, getting an opportunity to race each other and use each other to climb the leaderboard. And it was a really fun race. So going into that third round, Jase, tell the people sort of what you were thinking, how it turned out, what it was like to race Ethan, and just sort of give us a play-by-play on that last round.
Yeah, so I knew that Ethan had finished slightly ahead of me because of his capacity in the machines on round 1 and 2. And I was hoping that I would be able to catch him in some of the movement areas, because I was running the burpee pace, the squat pace, and the box jump overs faster than he was. So I was like, maybe this will be my opportunity in the third round to essentially catch up in those movements where I know that I have a higher cycle rate than he does. So I, again, hold the 1600 meters on the rower, and then I start my burpees, and I think that he got to the burpees slightly before me, but I got off the burpees before him. I could feel the pace was very, very hot coming off those burpees, and things were starting to fade, and my legs were starting to really fatigue. So overhead squats, I get my first 10 done, and that's the moment where I was like, okay, my legs are really, really getting pumped up. And I could feel like the coordination level essentially disappearing, and the control at the top disappearing. And I'm like trying to hang on to these, because I know that putting the bar down is going to be very costly at this point in time in the workout. So I hang on to the squats, I get them all done, and I was like, all right, I'll have just a moment to catch my breath on this bike as I pedal away, trying to get my shirt on, because we knew that the pills was going to be slippery. So I hung my shirt on my bike erg, and I was like, all right, I'll put my shirt on, get everything kind of situated, and then I'll go on the bike.
I want to just throw out there that I had numerous people tell me oh, that was a pro move. That was such a veteran move. Everyone was so almost dumbfounded that you even thought to do that. And
I was not the one who thought to do that.
That's okay. That's all right. You did it though. That's all that matters.
I did it. That's why you get a coach who really, really cares about you and thinks about these things for you, because he knows your pitfalls.
Well, it was everyone's pitfalls, because I think in every heat there was at least 2 people not wearing a shirt who absolutely just dropped the pill behind them. They picked it up, it was slippery, it just slid off their back. Some people dropped it multiple times. And so I watched people trying to pick that thing up in the back. I picked it up a few times myself in the back, and I was like, there's no way you're doing that without a shirt. So you don't have to wear it the whole time, but you're going to keep it on your bike, and you're going to figure out a way to put it on there.
Yeah. So I started pedaling away on the bike, and at first my legs were so sticky, just moving the bike was a whole lot of work. And I was only cruising at a 600 calorie per hour pace as I'm putting my shirt on, trying to pedal away. I was like, all right, cool. Now I can get this bike moving up. And honestly, all I was able to squeeze out of it, I think even by the end, was 1,000 calories per hour. So I was traveling much slower than anticipated.
What pace did you see on Ethan's bike in that round?
Oh my God. I think he was pedaling. I looked prior. I don't remember looking in that round. But I seen his bike read 1,800 calories per hour at one point. And I was like, Oh no.
So if he was anywhere close to that in that final round, he was literally pedaling at almost twice the power output than
Twice.
you in your slowest, at his fastest and your slowest.
Yeah, Ethan is an
A
incredible
monster.
athlete, and he's just such a nice guy too. Like I'd give that guy all my secrets if I had any to give.
Unfortunately for Ethan, I hold the secrets.
Yeah, Harley holds all the secrets.
JK. All right. So fast forward a little bit, end of the bike. The next sort of portion of the workout, we're getting to the boxes.
Box
and
jumps, yeah.
the box jump overs. I was counting Ethan's reps just to make sure to see if you had a chance to run him down. And he, I believe, was 8 box clears ahead of you. And once you got off your bike, from there, when he had finished his 20 box clears, you were at 15. So you had gained 3 or 4 reps ish on him across those 15 reps.
Yep.
So that means that you were just moving a quarter of a rep faster than him, essentially, across the board. So he had still a pretty good lead. You had, probably 15 to 20 second trailing behind him at that point, and he's moving on to the pill. He did not put his shirt on. So I bumped Zoe Warren, who is an athlete here from Denver that I was standing next to. I was like, I hope this guy drops the pill. I was like, I hope he dropped it. And
he did.
He did. He dropped the pill only once, though, unfortunately. I was like, yes, big boy, drop that pill. But anyways, I did say yes. So I'm like, yes. It's not nice to prey on people's downfall, but in those moments, it's like when people make a mistake, that's just a part of the game. So I was like, Jase needs all the help he can get to hopefully have the opportunity to catch back up there. Moving on, he was slightly ahead of you. You pick up your pill. Tell us what happened there.
I think he had gotten 1 or 2 squats. So he was at squat 12 or something like that when I picked the pill up, and I was like, all right, like I know my cycle rate has been faster than his kind of in the movements, but I can't keep up with him on the machines because he's so powerful. I was like, maybe I'll have a chance here. So I'm squatting my heart out, trying to go as quickly as I can while staying under control, not gaining no reps. And, first one's down, he's stepping into the third box as I get my first couple in the second box. So I was like, all right, I'm gaining on him. And like, I can tell that he's slowing down a little bit, but in all honesty, it just wasn't enough. He finished 10 reps ahead of me or something like that. Or he was walking out of the box as I was walking into it.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't quite enough. So I finish out my 10 reps and I tag the thing, and I am just spent after this one.
For sure. It was a really people described it as a rude test. And I think it was incredibly effective for what JR was looking for. Your total working time. So the score was your total working time across 3 intervals added together. 1847, that gave you a 16th place overall. So out of about 30 guys, you're still middle of the pack in placement and slightly behind the median of like the time spread. So on paper, we're acknowledging now that, okay, Jay struggled in that first event, which I would describe as the most pure CrossFit thing. Hindsight 2030, that workout that he just finished describing, the interval workout, very, very metabolic, very high turnover rep speed workout. And that again wasn't a great finish compared to some of his stronger finishes and compared to the field. So
and we had really high hopes for this one specifically too.
Yeah, I mean, I think of you as a really strong aerobic guy. I think I generally think of you as one of the better machine guys in the sport, and you've shown that before in previous events. And I think it's the mixed nature of this test. I think that because it is pure MGW, so again, event 1 was a weightlifting movement, front squats, gymnastics, toes to bar, and monostructural double unders. This one, we have monostructural, ergs, row and bike. We have gymnastics being burpees and jumping over the box. Those are considered gymnastics in CrossFit. And then from there, we had weight and implements. So we had a light overhead squat for high reps, and we had a light pill squat for high reps. I think that genuinely that the more balanced the tests are now, you're having a hard time with that because we spent so much time developing the single modalities over the off season. So we're going to take that data point. We're going to take that into the preseason. We'll talk about that more at the end of our conversation there. We have a comment in the chat asking about judging.
That's a really, really good comment.
I wanted to touch on that before we move on to the next events, because I do recall you getting a no rep or two in both event 1 and event 3. How did you feel in those moments when you catch a no rep? How did you feel about the judges that you had across the weekend? Do you think that it was fair? Was there anything that felt egregiously wrong or, too strict? Like, I don't want to lead you in any one direction. I want you to just tell us about, the judging quality, your perception when you got no reps, and how did the event do as a whole?
So, as far as the staff goes and the judging quality, best I've ever experienced. The way that they ran it, if you needed to talk to somebody or have a conversation with somebody, you could do it. The way that they briefed you in the workouts, there was plenty of time for questions prior to the workout starting. You knew, you knew exactly what you needed to be doing and where you needed to be. They made everything really, really clear, and short descriptions without a whole bunch of nuance to it. They're just get your hand over the line, squat below parallel, make sure your hips are completely locked out at the top. And I think the simplicity of the way that they created the standards complemented the execution of the judging as well, to where the no reps that I did get, I think one of the no reps in hindsight 2030, he didn't give direction. And I said, what? And then he gave direction and I knew what I needed to do. And then there was no more no rep curiosity behind that. Or am I doing this right? So anytime you receive the no rep, they immediately told you get your feet against the wall for the handstand push-ups, or squat lower, or hips through, or hands need to cross the line. Anything that you received, it was very clear how you needed to fix it. And I really, really appreciated that. And across the entire weekend, I don't think that there was ever a no rep that was called that shouldn't have been called, at least for me.
Yeah, I think that at the end, we'll get to the final event. In the final event, it was the only one that you were like, hey, I'm not going to sign my scorecard because I want to just go watch a video and ask.
Yeah.
Just to make it clear. And I immediately pull up the video, or Shanna pulled up the video, sorry, and we scrubbed to where your no rep happened. And I was like, sorry, buddy, that was a fair call. It was a really strict call.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very clean call, but it was a very good call. Yeah, I mean, it was hard to see. And when everyone's moving fast, I mean, that's the reality of this field, man. I think that everyone is moving. Everyone's really high level. They're moving really fast, but they've also probably been in the game a little bit. They had to prove themselves to get to this event, whether it be through an invitation or the qualifier. And I don't think that anyone in that field, is naive to what the standards of a squat are, what the standards of, if you're that oblivious, you're probably not that high level of the sport. Because I think that there is a sense of athlete intelligence that you develop over time. And if you don't know the rules of the game, you're not going to be great at the game, right? And I think that could be said for most things, most sports, most activities. Is you don't know the rules, you probably aren't going to be competitive in it. So, or if you are competitive and you don't know the rules, you have some stuff to learn. I think that JR has been a student of the game himself for so long. He's been a high-level competitor. He's been to the Masters, CrossFit Games. I think that his goal is to make things as black and white as possible, and he does an exceptional job in teaching that to volunteers as well. Yeah, I mean, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Even from the outside perspective, it looked clean. It was a great event.
And I believe at one point in the weekend, a lady said, we don't want this competition to be one made on judging calls.
Right.
Yeah. So they're the whole point was to make it as black and white as possible. So that way the fitness could shine through, instead of being everybody's getting no reps. Nobody knows what's going on. Like, did I win because I'm that much fitter? Or did I lose just because a bad call was made? And none of that happened. It was all very, very black and white.
So the standards were clear. The judging was executed well. How did you feel like when you are competing and you're at this like high pressure, high, speed event, and you get sort of a hiccup happen, and we'll get to the final event, but like you got a no rep in like your first squat, I think it was like in the front squat event.
Yes, I did.
Do those moments like shake you? Like does it knock you off your like momentum? Does it make you lose focus? Like where's the mental side of that? Like, how do you handle that?
I think it depends on when you get the rep, right? Like, or when you get the no rep. If you get it in a time where you can't afford it, like the emotions behind that are so much greater than when you just get it right off the bat. So like getting a no rep right off the bat really sucked, but it's like, okay, like I got a whole workout ahead of me. Do I let this one moment mess up the rest of it and then get an even worse score? Or do you just
especially
squat
when
again?
the workout's 20 minutes long? You're like, oh, am I going to be miserable for 15 more minutes or whatever it was, 18 more minutes?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you can sit there and try and argue, or you can just do another friggin' rep. Like, which one takes longer and which one do you think you're more likely to win with? Like, it's just a basic decision of what's going to be best for me in this moment. And it's probably never going to be getting mad, frustrated, or trying to change what already happened, because you can't. And now, like, you just do the workout, and then whatever the fix is later, you take that fix, but you can't fix it in that moment.
Correct. I think that, jokingly, I got made a spectacle of at semifinals when we were on team by Todd, the pack, the whatever, because I actually got to the point for the first time, I think, ever in my CrossFit career. So it took 9 years to get to this point where I actually was like, what the F do you want from me? Like, to a judge. I was like, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was cursing at the person in the sense that like I was calling them a name. I was not being unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was genuinely like what you said. I got a no rep. They gave me a correction. They're like, I need you to do this. I was doing that to the best of my ability. And they're just like, nope, still not good enough. And I was like, man, what is this? And so
I'm gonna effing kill you.
no, I did not pull a Ryan Fisher. Okay. For those who don't know, back in the day in 2013 or 14, a guy named Ryan Fisher literally said that to a judge at regionals. So he was made a spectacle of as well. Anyways, I did not go that route. It happens. Emotions get high. If you feel that you're doing your best to make the correction that you're given, and they're still telling you not good enough, it can be really hard mentally as a competitor. So I'm really happy that the event, the judging, and your experience did not reflect that type of an event or a type of a scenario, but it was this event is exceptional for a reason. And I keep saying that, I keep going back to that because the standard is set, that's black and white, and they execute perfectly almost every time. Like, human error is there, sure, but they do such a good job. So anyways, let's get back to the breakdown of events. We're on to event 4 now. This was the event that in the brief of our call, you said was like the event you believed you could do well in.
Yes.
So what we have here is sleds and kettlebell deadlifts. So essentially, I'll explain it through like the flow without going too much in the details. At the call 3, 2, 1, go, you had to pick up a sandbag, put it on top of your sled, drag the sled across the floor. Across the floor, there's a set of kettlebells. You did a set of kettlebell deadlifts. You drag the sled back. You change the sandbag weight at the end by the bags. You went back to the kettlebells, did some more kettlebell deadlifts, drag the sled and bag back, swapped it out for another sandbag, and then did one last round of drag down, more kettlebell deadlifts, and drag back. After that workout, it was a 10-minute time cap. The sled incrementally got lighter as you went. and the kettlebell deadlifts incrementally got more voluminous, more reps as you went. I would describe this as a super heavy workout. It was very dense in hip and hamstring and posterior chain fatigue. What about this event gives you confidence? Like, how do you look at this and go, I'm going to win? You know,
I think what gave me confidence is after I tested it, I was like, this is so ungodly amounts of hard. Like every single step throughout that entire workout is essentially a max effort. And I was like, all right, this is like a test of who's willing to grit. I like that. And I was like, I think I'm pretty gritty. Like I can hang on pretty well with the best of them. And I'm heavy. So I was like, all right, being a heavier athlete, being a little bit more gritty, like this should pair nicely. Another thing that gave me confidence is back when I qualified for NCC, they had the, 2015 workout 5 regionals workout. I don't remember what it was exactly.
Are you talking about the deadlift box jump one?
The deadlift box jump.
Yeah, 21:15.9 deadlifts at 315 and 30-inch box jumps.
Yeah. And
coincidentally, that's the workout that Ryan Fisher screamed at his judge, threatening to kill him. Fun fact, full circle.
Full circle. So, yeah, I did extremely well in that workout. So I was like, all right, my polling should be among the top of the field. So I was like, gritty workout, my polling's among the top of the field. Like this is just one of those things where I believe I could have possibly taken an event win. And I was excited about that for the weekend. Do you have something you want to say?
No, keep going.
Okay.
So how'd it play out? You're confident going into it. You thought you could do well. You know, the event starts to take place and unfold. How did it go?
So this was when I was kind of stuck in some lower heats and I had Ethan beside me yet again. And I knew that he was going to do well because how much power output he had on the ergs of that hindsight 2030. So I was like, if I can keep him within shooting distance, hopefully like I can snag this one.
Yeah.
So
and I remember beforehand, he walked up to us in the back and I was like, oh yeah, you mentioned you're a high level hockey player. They kind of have strong legs, don't they? And
smirked.
I just asked him all candidly
Yeah.
and he just smirked and he's like,
yeah,
we'll
see.
We'll see.
I was like, oh dang. So like this guy's gunning for it too. So I knew it was going to be a good race. So I load the sandbag. We both grip onto the straps and I think I beat him to the first couple of steps, but then he just takes off like a friggin' rocket ship. And I was like, how are you pulling that sled so fast? But nonetheless, I have to race my own race. Like I need to stay in my lane. And we both get to the deadlifts. And I think I beat him off the deadlifts in the first round and was back to my sled just a little bit quicker than he was. But he was able to pull that sled very, very quickly. Again, beat him on the change on the sandbag, and I'm back towards the deadlifts again. And at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit ahead, but not much, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I get back to the other side, get my deadlifts done for the 15s, and I could feel that the deadlifts were starting to really take their toll.
Yeah, you went 9 unbroken on the 15. How did you break that up? Do you recall?
I think I did 9 unbroken on the 15. I did 5.55.
Yep. So things started, the breaks were planned, but they started to weigh on you a little bit. So then what ended up happening between that 15 and back to the sled? You were walking real slow.
Oh yeah, that moment,
real slow.
Well, we did the daily recap back when we were at Crash, and I remember the video of me going back to that sled. I saw it and I took a double take and I was like, "What?" I'm pretty sure I like ran that transition.
You were running so fast, and by running fast, I mean you were walking.
And like that's something that we had talked about. We're like, oh yeah, this one's going to be really important on the transitions. And I did not transition fast at all, but I thought I was moving.
Right. Right.
So just kind of like one of those funny moments looking back and like seeing like, oh, like there's a really, really big mistake. And I
Well,
just wasn't.
it's feel versus real, right? You're like, I have to get to my sled. I will go fast. And then your body's like, I am shutting down. I cannot function. And it's a, you're getting tugged on at both ends, your conscious versus your, physical ability. And you're trying your best to tug the physical along with your mind, because you can't do anything unless the mind tells you to. So, yeah. So moving on to the final round, you made your way down and back with the sled. We had 21 deadlifts. What was your planned sets in theory, and then how did that shake out?
So my plan sets was just hang on to the five. So I was like, if we go 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, maybe I can get a miracle round of 6 right at the end, and then start pulling that sled. I think I went 5, 4, 3, 3, 3, 1, 1, 1, something like that. And I know one of the things that slowed me down a little bit is I think I was shaking so much on the way up that they were uncertain of my lockout position. So they were having me hold it for a half second longer than they had in previous reps in that final round. So like the extra fatigue of even having to hold it at the top was a lot for me. And the deadlifts just started to weigh on me, and the rest periods kind of grew a little bit longer and longer and longer. And that allowed a window for Ethan to begin to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he gradually sort of chipped away past you because he did not break down to singles. I think he ended, if we debriefed appropriately, or if I recall what we talked about afterwards.
He finished 1 rep ahead of me on the final deadlift.
Yep, 1 rep ahead of you. He ran to his sled. He moved the sled faster, and he beat you. And that's how that shook out. What I was going to say was that I think he broke the 9s. I think he broke everything up more than you did, and it just played into his favor and his strengths of moving the sled fast.
I believe he got a no rep on the 9s too.
Yeah, so
right out of the gate.
He ended up getting, I want to say, like top 5, second in that workout, third in the workout.
And
like
there wasn't much time between him and I finishing either.
Right. So for context, Jase's total time was 6:04. I don't recall Ethan's time. It was probably 5:50, something like that. So about a 15-second spread, 20-second spread from Jase's time.
Oh, here's the points.
Yep. So if we could pull up Ethan's. Ethan Sheb, he's number 16.
So he was 5:42.
5:42. So yeah. So he got Jase by 22 seconds. And that's the difference between 8th and what, 2nd?
Yep.
Yeah. So that workout was super dense in format, but also the top of the sport, they were able to all basically move at the same rate of travel. And it was very impressive to see how close that race was. And it was very exciting. So I know that JR has said it in the past. He does a great job of using horizontal displacement, I think is what he referred to it as, but basically just going down a field. So he loves races that unfold, that you can witness, people moving implements down the floor, causing people to have moments of braking or transitioning that can actually shake up a race because they're not moving forward with momentum. So whether it be like forcing singles on an implement and advancing it forward every rep, he's done things like that in the past. And I think this workout was truly just a home run in regards to what he likes and the simplistic power output test. I would say this was a strength test, and yet it does not have a barbell in sight, and I think that that's a really savvy and beautiful programming design, right? Like, I think that just showcases his prowess. Moving on, event 5, running and climbing.
Oh, one thing that I do want to mention about that workout, on the finish line, we're all laying there, and I think this is the worst case of Jello legs that I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm willing to bet that some other people would probably say the same thing about the workout. But I just remember, like, I was laying there and my legs started hurting so bad. I was like, I need to get off this floor. Like, I'm going to start crying here soon because my legs hurt so bad, and I don't want people to see that. So I was like, I'm going to leave. and I, get into like a tripod position and like try and like walk my hands up to my feet so I can stand up to walk away. And on the very first step, I just fall into the wall. Like I had zero control over my legs. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just sit here instead.
Stiff-legged tip over.
That's exactly what happened. And I thought I was going to be able to make it out of there, but I clearly could not. And I was like, well, I'm not going to crawl. So I'll sit here for another 2 minutes. Hopefully some more people come in or don't come in, so I have some extra time, and then I will walk off when my legs
it's
can
ready.
Move.
Whenever you're ready, pal, get up. Just herd you off the floor. It's like, go on now.
I'm rolling around. I'm on fire. I'm on fire.
Okay, Ricky Bobby. Help me, Tom Cruise.
Help me, save me, Tom Cruise.
All right. So moving on, event 5. We're now on day 3. It was 2 events per day. Event 5, it was a unique format. So essentially it was 4 400-meter runs split up, but by 5 pulling or climbing repetitions. So you can choose the order of the variation of climb. You don't have to do it in any set way, but the 5 reps of pulling was a pegboard, 5 pegboard climbs, 5 short rope, so cut rope, regional style from back in the day climbs, and then 5 regular rope climbs. Jay, so tell us about your experience with the pegboard. How much prep did we do for it? What was your experience going into the weekend? What was your perspective going into the weekend for this event?
So as far as the pegboard goes, I knew that was a bit of an unfamiliar point. We have a pegboard at our gym, but the way that it is hung, it makes it extremely difficult to use in the same capacity because it is so low on the wall that the first 3 to 4 peg holes are essentially strict pulling. So the way that I had tested the pegboard was extremely fatiguing and difficult to do. And that made me really, really nervous because I wasn't sure what to expect when we got to a pegboard that was hung appropriately so you could use all of the holes easily. So we did some testing. I liked the rope climb stuff. That was pretty well known for me. But the pegboard was a really big unknown. And then the running was something that we have built a very strong base in. And that was made evident back at NorCal when I did extremely well in the run event. And a lot of people are expecting me to do well because they called this like the running event at Camp Crash. But
Harley, they kept calling you a runner.
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh, you're the runner."
Yeah,
you're a great runner.
Yeah.
You're built like it too.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I know the camera supposedly adds 10 pounds. I think it minuses 20 from him, but you're weighing at like 215 and like 6'1" ish. So a thick boy. Got some corn-fed roots, you know.
If you ever look at my videos, like you'll see like the double bubble belt, and that's just kind of like the thing that my wife and I kind of came up with. It's like he's got a lot of ass back there. Like,
oh, isn't that right?
Yeah,
he's got a lot of ass. Somehow he moves it well when running because most people would be like, I'm caked up. I can't run.
Although if I don't wear spandex when I run, I get the worst chafing in the world. Like my thighs will bleed within 800 meters. It's awful.
Nice. Well, good thing for you. You have spandex. So
wore my Spanx that day.
Nice. All right. So this running test, let's talk about you warming up your running. So that day we head outside, we're warming up some running. He's getting loosened up. We go on like a little 5-minute jog.
I think
we start doing some line drills and stride outs. He's building some speed.
I think a good place to start would be my nutrition.
He just looks more and more uncomfortable as he goes across his warm up. So tell us about that. Like what happened with your nutrition? What happened with your stomach that day? How are you doing? You know, we're on day 3 of competing as well.
Yeah. So as far as nutrition goes, like I've never really made it a point to like really, really focus in on it as much as other people have and do. But when it comes to competition weekends, I know how important and it is to have enough fuel for the weekend. So a lot of like the recovery process for getting ready for the next one consists of like, can you shove enough food down to like have enough energy for the next event? And it's not always fun for me. It's often like me kind of choking it down and gagging and drinking lots of Gatorade or water to like just drink the food as much as I can. Well, I think by day 3, this had caught up to me a little bit. And I ate some cereal that morning because I just wanted something that I kind of enjoyed. And as we're warming up for this, like Harley said, like I'm just really uncomfortable and unsettled. And like we do one stride out sprint down the road and Harley's like, I'll run with you. And then as soon as we get to like the end of this warm up piece, I'm like, Harley, I don't feel good. And he's like, what do you mean you don't feel good? I'm like, my stomach is just like super unsettled. Like I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, I don't know if I'm nervous or what the heck is going on, but like, I don't feel good. And he's like, well, go throw up. And I'm like, I can't throw up. And he's like, well, go pull trig, dude. Like, and I was like,
you said, you're like,
oh,
I
maybe
think I'm going to have to pull trig. And
yeah,
like,
I think I'm going to have to pull trig. And he's like,
I was like, do what you have to do, but you have 20 minutes to sip water and like refuel, like at least like settle yourself. So like, it's now or never. It's like not going to get better. And I kind of thought about the old like Matt Fraser talking about how you threw up before events all the time. And I'm just like, oh, I mean, it happens sometimes. Like if people get so nervous or built up or whatever, like as long as you've been fueling across the weekend, emptying the stomach right now probably isn't going to like deplete you to where you can't perform in the event. So I was like, that was my rationale. I'm like, all right, go do what you have to do. We'll sip some water after, make sure that you're at least like hydrated, and then we'll move on. So
I walk over to some bushes and trees that's like over there, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Oh no, you went to a parking lot first.
Yeah,
you were like in the open.
I went to the bushes behind, like it was in a parking lot, but there was like a couple of bushes right there in the trees. And then I was like, maybe I'll go right here. And then I look over and there's somebody sitting in their car staring at me. And then I look over somewhere else and there's another person. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like everybody's looking at me like while I need to puke, but I can't. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, I'm not doing this. This is dumb. Like, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. I can suck it up. Like, I just feel a little queasy, and that's okay. I must be nervous. So Harley's like, all right, dude, like, let's just...
You did one more stride out.
Yeah, and he's like, let's get back to warming up.
Worse. Yeah.
And I do one more stride out, and I was like, I'm going to walk back, and then I get to the end, and, like, it's bubbling up fast. So I was like, all right, I'm going to walk over across. There's kind of like a line of cars there. I'll like hide behind that.
A truck. Yeah.
Hid behind a truck, and I kind of gagged, but it didn't come out. And I was like, all right, it needs just a little bit of help. So I poked the back of my throat. And it just...
I like how descriptive you're getting with this. This is wild.
It just starts flowing. I mean,
okay, cool. So moving on, you did the job. You got the job done. While it's back there, I'm hearing this like dinosaur call coming from the woods. I'm like, oh, wow. And John Woods is jogging back, warming up, and he looks over and he's like, looks at me, makes eye contact. He's like, bro, like what is like, going on?
Why is your athlete stomping around in the leaves and bushes in the forest back there? And Harley's
it's like, a secret tactic, bro. It's the way we warm up. We get right.
And event 1, Hiller was like had this camera in my face because he saw me gagging and thought I was going to throw up on the floor, and he wanted to capture it. And he missed it, and he asked me after that event, he's like, you think you can throw up again for me? Like, I want to get this. So I just finished throwing up. I walk out from the bushes, and Hiller is standing
like right there.
Literally right there. And I was like, you missed it again, dude. He's like, no. And he's literally like flying his drone around. And he was putting his drone away after he was flying it around. And he's like, oh, man, like, I missed it again.
Yeah. And then you were wearing your Pack Athletes or Trash shirt.
Yeah, this is good.
And Andrew Hiller The background story of that shirt derives from someone talking trash to Todd and Cody of the pack on an Andrew Hiller post. And then this person comes back to our Instagram, starts calling us all trash. So I had the idea we're gonna make a shirt out of it. So we made a shirt, and it gets a lot of questions and it creates a lot of traction and like conversation around it. And it's a fun story because we just like took this hater and like took his phrase and tried to like own it so that it's funny, and we just like ran with it. And so Hiller, the source of the shirt, starts asking us, what is this shirt about? And I left out that it was on his post, but I just told him some guy harassed us online. And so we made the shirt, and then one of our guys like harassed him back, and then whatever. And he thought it was a hilarious story. So now here we are online talking about how it actually was from his post. But I chose to leave that sort of point out in that interaction because I just didn't know how he would react to that. But the fact that he was like, yeah, F those guys online talking trash. And he was like, you guys are cool. And I'm like, yeah, we are. We're so cool.
Yeah, dude.
We're so cool. And by cool, we're not. And then so from there, you did what you had to do. You got warmed up. You got lightened up, cleared out the system. We made a friend, had a good interaction. And now it's time to go work out, right? So running event with pulling, what was the order that you chose to do for your pulling and why?
So we chose to do pegboard, cut rope, regular rope. The reason why is pegboard was the most unknown thing to me and the thing that I had the least amount of confidence in. So I wanted to get that out of the way with the most amount of like energy and pulling strength when I had it. And that would be the first thing. So I go up, and Harley and we timed out some things, and he's like, hey, once you get down, you need to shake your arms out and essentially go right back up the pegboard and not waste a whole lot of time.
Yeah, we're shooting for one every 30 seconds was the rough timeline I was like assessing. Yeah.
And it ended up going great because I got them all done in faster than one every 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, you ended up being a little faster than that. I mean, if you go 1 on the 30, the reality is you'll finish around like 2:15 because the pegboard itself takes about 15 to 20 seconds. So as long as you're starting on the 30, it won't take the full 2:30 to get through 5. So that was my logic. I was like, all right, you'll still be at a good click, but just try to stay focused throughout there. So how did that go for you?
Pegboards went really well, and then it was off to the run. And the run was one of those things where you wanted to run fast enough to where you were, at least for me, to where I was gaining on anybody who was in front of me at that point, but not so fast that your heart rate got so elevated that you'd be too tired to be able to pull again. So running back in, we get to the cut rope climbs, and it ended up being a really close race between Mason Griffin and me in that heat. So that was a guy that I kind of like had to keep my eye on this entire race. And I believe he was 1 or 2 reps ahead of me on the cut rope when we were there. And he finished 1 rep ahead of me. So I knew I was kind of gaining on him. And me being the runner, I was like, all right, well, let's try and catch up on this run. And then the last one was the final rope climb, where you get to use your feet all the way up. And I went touch and go on the first one, and then 3 singles after that. And my arms are just like completely exploded. Like there's no pulling strength left in them. And it is very difficult to stand on a rope, even when you have a foot lock, just because it's unstable, especially when your biceps are blown up and you're not able to support yourself very well. So I found myself really stretching to the top, trying to get that touch. And Mason got off the final rope climb. I think it was 1 rope climb ahead of me and was off to the run. And I'm trying to run him down. And there's a lot of blind corners on this path because you're running around the building twice. So I wasn't sure where he was at in relationship to me, but I was hoping that I was catching up. And Harley told me, he's like, you're 15 seconds behind on the final lap. And I was like, all right, let's see if we can make this up. And I'm really pushing the run. And we run around the final corner, or no, we run around the backside around the trailer that's back there, and I could see his feet as I was rounding the corner, the first corner. So I'm like, all right, I'm catching up, and I'm trying to catch up on the back straight, and I was probably halfway through the back straight when I saw him round that corner, and then I round one corner as he's rounding the final one. And I was trying to catch up, but it just wasn't quite
So
enough.
to keep that concise, like really, because it's just a big square building, lots of corners, and that it's like a corner every 40 meters because you did 2 laps to get to 400 or 50 meters. And so by being only 14 seconds behind him, Jase just couldn't see him the entire time, or could barely see little glimpses of him. And so I stood basically from round 2 on. I would make my way outside. I would stand by one of the corners, and I would just give him a timestamp. Be like, hey, he's 12 seconds ahead of you. Hey, he's 13 seconds ahead of you, whatever it was. And just to give Jase hope that it's like, hey, you're still in this fight. Like, just because you can't see him, don't lose focus. Like, keep running hard. And I think I said a pretty aggressive phrase like, you're going to F and get this guy. Like, and I yelled it pretty loud, and everyone like turns and is like, that was real aggressive. And I'm like, that's all right. It's all right. I'm invested, guys. Okay. I'm here. And it was a really great race. The point that we didn't say yet was that you and Mason both started on the pegboards. You are not confident on the pegboards due to your training setup and just a lack of exposure to the full thing. And you did great for your current ability there. Clearly, Mason has exposure to a pegboard and is really good at it. He did 5 in a row unbroken. And I would say that gave him about a 45 to 50 second lead on you just coming off around 1. So the fact that you came back to a point of being within 10 to 15 seconds of him in total time, plus or minus, right? Like, that's a rough estimate. I don't know his time off the top of my head, but it was based on those timestamps really close to that. I think that was a phenomenal execution through the back, the last 3 runs and the 2 sets of 5 rope climbs. It was a really great finish. You ended up finishing the workout in 10:49. You got 4th place overall. Relative to the field, you were really close to that top person. Mason was probably 3rd, I'm speculating, in that workout, based on how close you guys were. And
because first was Quinn Robinson, right? And then second was Max Krieg.
Yep, exactly. So, and those guys are known to be great, have huge work capacities, be phenomenal runners. And that was, your best finish of the weekend, because you're a runner too, I'm just kidding.
That's all I'm good at.
That's all you're good at. No, but I think you're actually really great at rope climbs as well. And I think that falls in the gymnastics bucket of things that we've worked on. And the work we did over the summer, even though it wasn't necessarily specific rope climb development, I do believe that due to transferable movement qualities, by working on pulling on rings, that's more often than not a neutral grip position, it's going to carry over to the pegboard. It's going to carry over to the rope. And you've already have such a great base of rope climbing capacity that, we didn't need to work on that to still have that be your best finish. So I think that was a home run for you. To be top 4, top 5 in any event at this competition is a huge win. It's very impressive. World class. So going on to that, or let's circle back to Kevin's comment there. Kevin dropped another good one. In the sport of fitness, is trash talk an element you have to deal with at competitions? Do media people inadvertently contribute to that? I'd assume, like, is the influence of the public eye going to make that more of a prevalent thing, is I think what he's getting at.
Mm-hmm.
How's your experience with that?
I'm a chatty Cathy. Like, let's be honest. Like, I love to chat with people. I think that, like, the behind the scenes banter that goes on is some of the most fun and memorable moments that you really get to make. In the warm up area, everybody's kind of like very, very focused, but we're all there for the same reason, and we want to see each other do well. So a lot of, like, the trash talk that goes on is, like, in my opinion, very, very fun banter, where it's like poking the bear of people who who are already going to smash workouts, or like you're making light of things that happen in the CrossFit space prior, But as far as like trash talk being like real trash talk, like what you see on like UFC pre-fight, whatever interview things, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I think that you do a good job of towing the line. Let's just say towing the line of acceptable and obnoxious. And I think that, like, for a little anecdote, NorCal Classic story, warming up for the final event, heavy squat cleans, all these that he's in the final heat. So he's surrounded by the guys winning the event. And yet he's warming up with some of the best in the sport. And they have, let's say, 245 on the bar. And he goes, after everyone hits their warm-up reps, Jase slaps on 25s on top of that. So he takes a 50-pound jump from 245 to 295, and everyone just looks at each other like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Why are you moving the weight so much?
Yeah, or like, why are you taking such an aggressive jump? Like, none of us would do that. And then he looks at them and goes, oh, is this a big weight jump for you? Oh, well, that's too bad. And he just like takes his next rep, and it's like, and I laugh because I'm just standing there watching. I'm just like in the back, just like observing how people are responding to this. And so I try to make light of it. I'm like, man, he's such a dick. I was like, he's my dick, but like, he's a dick, you know, because like as his coach and I'm like supporting him all weekend, it's like, you got to own the athlete for their personality traits and who they are. And I honestly believe that Jason and I have a very strong bond at this point in our dynamic, and a very fluid dynamic where we bounce back and forth between like, hey, here's a serious talk, and then here's our fun time. And so it makes it organic, it makes it fun. And I'm confident that I can be myself in those moments and be like, yeah, I'm going to tell him he's being rude, but I'm also going to make a joke about it too, because I don't want him to stop being himself. And so whether it be true trash talk, I don't think anyone has serious problems with one another. I think people are pretty soft, and I think that in the space and sensitive in the space, and they don't want to hurt each other's feelings, because it's the same people you see at every event all year round. It's all people you're going to have to interact with all the time, because the community is small. And I think that everyone wants to keep it a positive community for the most part, right? Whether that means that they're being fake in the moment or not, I don't know. But I think that generally speaking, people try to be cordial and positive and polite and like supportive, because really fitness shines through. Whether you're a nice guy or a mean guy, the fittest person is going to win. And it's not going to, like, how you treated someone in the back is not going to give you an edge necessarily. Like, sure, you could argue a mental side of it, like, oh, I got in his head. It's like, oh, you're kind of just being a dick. Like, so, yeah, I think there's a fine line there, and I think Jase toes it really well and keeps it light and keeps it fun. I don't think that he's ever had anyone do anything rude to him, that I recall, but I could be wrong. Have you have a moment?
No, like at NorCal, there was a shortage of like warm up equipment, so
Sure.
like you always had like guys like stealing your bar or something like that, but
Like cutting in line.
In line. But like in all reality, we all understand why that happens. And the reason why is because guys need to get their warm up in. Sort of like why I just slapped more weight than anybody else was really to handle on the bar, is because I was like, all right, I took enough lifts. I need to get one heavy lift and be freaking done with this. So like there's like this space where people need to get their stuff done, and like if you aren't actively using a piece of equipment, that means that it is open for somebody else to take. Period.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that, I think that we just need to keep the space fun for the most part. And if some people I think we all at this point can accept that some people love banter. Some people love a little bit of poking the bear, to your point. Like, and if we don't understand that it's all in good fun, like, you're probably a little too sensitive. So I think that at this point, at the higher level you get up this sport, the more of like a cool kids club it is, and like the more inclusive it becomes, and the more loose and fun it can become. I think it's when people are a little insecure of whether they should be there or not, is when people start to get even more sensitive to those types of comments and interactions.
Yeah. And like Taylor Self was in the warm-up area quite often. And he's known online as like one of the biggest trash talkers in the space. Super nice guy all weekend. Like,
for sure.
I didn't hear a word of trash talk to anybody about anything ever from that guy. No. And he's probably the biggest trash talker in the entire space.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I was honestly at NorCal, he was very introverted. He was
Mhm.
very reserved. And I think that he's just really comfortable at Crash. He's more comfortable there than other places, right? Um, and I think that for him there, he's able to sort of let that guard down a little bit, I guess you'd say. But, anyways, let's get back on track. We have one more event to talk about. Um, and we're going to roll into the final event. So, event 6, precedence is 6 rounds for time, right? 6
Yep.
rounds for time of 4 parallel strict handstand push-ups to a 5-inch deficit for men, and then 2 finisher flips. For those who don't know, the finisher flip is a flip sled. It emulates a pig or flipping a tire. It's a big metal cube that you can load weights onto. And JR took it upon himself to max out the functional capacity of the implement. Whatever the highest loading is allowed on that implement for safety purposes, he chose to use that for his finishing event. I think that on paper, this is a beautiful combination of both strength and endurance capacity, gymnastics capacity within pressing endurance. And it really created a nice balanced finish. Again, utilizing those horizontal displacement, like those forward moving implements, is a big sort of pinnacle or a pillar in JR's programming for events. And that flip sled does just that. You got to move down the floor each and every round. You got to move back to your finish line. And it created a race and a story that allowed, the top people to have an exciting finish. Do you think, what do you think about this event? What were your feelings going into it, and how did it play out?
Uh, I was just really anticipating this event. Just like I was super excited for it because it was new. Like being in the CrossFit space, and especially like at the level where I'm at, you see a lot of the same thing over and over, and they just are like, oh, let's like make it heavier or make it longer. And I really appreciated this event because he made it different. Because you almost never see a flip sled in competition. You don't see these implements. And when it came out, deficit handstand push-ups on parallettes, never seen that in a competition. I was like, oh, this is cool. It's new. And then you got the flip sled. I've never seen that either. And then he's like, let's make this really heavy. And then the way that it played out and the story of it, I was just like, this is a really, really cool event. It's really, really fun. And I was just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. So how did the event play out relative to your expectation or hopes? Like what was your game plan going into the event? And then at the call, 3, 2, 1, go, tell us about your experience with it.
So like my hopes were I would be able to get all of the handstand push-ups unbroken. That was like in my mind. I was like, if I can get the handstand push-ups unbroken, it will turn out okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Did I miss kicking up on the wall the first time, or did I get kicked up the first
I
time?
don't think so. I think it was good.
Okay, so I kicked up against the wall. I got my first 3 reps in, got my fourth rep in, kicked down, and then I go to start running to my pig flip because this is such a fast event. Like you need to move quickly.
Got your 4th rep in.
Exactly. Got my 4th rep in. So I took off running, and my judge is like, "Get back here! Like you didn't finish that 4th rep." And I was like, "Oh shit!" So I kick up against the wall as fast as I can, press out, and my feet come off the wall. Another no rep. Kick back up, do it again. Rep's good. I'm then sprinting across the entire field to try and catch up. And I'm like a half second or 2 seconds behind at this point. So they got their first flip in, and I'm like, all right, flip, flip. And I was just trying to catch back up to the field where I wanted to be with. Got my second set of handstand push-ups done, run back. I'm now in the race, and I was like, this is great. Now we need to get to work. 2 flips down. I'm kicking up at the same time as Max Krieg, and I think I get 2 reps before I'm like, oh no, my pressing is disappearing rapidly. And and then I was down to singles. So I think I did a double and then I did 2 singles. I think that's what it was.
Yep.
Okay. Back to the pig flip and flip it the 2 times. The pig flip was relatively easy for me, I would say.
Yeah, I think you can speak for yourself on that one. I think that it was a very mixed bag in who thought it was easy and not. I think that it was probably like 50-50. There was like a good amount of people who moved it well, but I think there was quite a few people who struggled with it. So it was a heavy implement. So I don't want you to I don't want your experience to undermine that, right?
Yeah, it was a heavy. That's why I said relatively easy for me,
sure.
right?
For
so
you,
like,
yes,
it wasn't too bad. Like if they put double the amount of pig flips in there, I would have been like, cool.
You probably would have done better, honestly.
I would have done better, yes. And then I get back to the wall, and at this point, I am down to singles on all the pressing. And I could not press any faster than what I could press. I would kick up, do 1 handstand push-up, kick back down, rest for 5 to 10 seconds, then kick back up. In the very final round, on the very last rep, I got 1 more no rep because I was just at my pressing limit.
You just
entirely.
failed it. Like it wasn't a no rep because you didn't meet a standard. You just failed.
Yeah, I had no strength left in my overhead pressing, which was slightly disappointing to me because like we had worked a lot on my pressing and my pressing had gotten so much better than it was. So like I was very, very happy and grateful that we did all that work. But I think that most athletes can understand it when I say this. We want to be better than what we are. We never want to be like where we're at. We're always reaching for that next thing. So like once you get there, it's almost like never good enough, but you're really, really happy about the work that you did put in.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think complacency kills. And if you want to get better in any sport or endeavor and you put in hours and hours of training, I think results are non-negotiable, right? Like you need to be taking that needle forward in some way, shape, or form as you go. And we've done that. And I think that if you had to do this workout 6 months ago, you would be in a far worse position than you were.
Yeah.
Also acknowledging it's the last event of the weekend. You have not just systemic fatigue, but local fatigue to the arms and shoulders. Like it is totally normal to be in a lesser performing state at the end of the weekend than at the beginning. Right. So, but not trying to discount that. I think that you reached your current capacity of pressing within this workout. After seeing it unfold and with the no reps, my assumption, and this is what I said as soon as you walked off the floor was, man, I wish you didn't sprint to that sled. Yeah. And not because you shouldn't have worked to get back in the race, but I think that there was this subconscious stress of like, I'm behind. I have to go faster now. And acknowledging that this was round 1 of 6. So like, you had so much work ahead of you that by sprinting, potentially elevating the heart rate or creating tension in your system, you could have created more fatigue faster. You could have spilled over that threshold sooner because of that subconscious stress. That's speculation. I don't know. Right. Like, but that's just me like seeing him like, dang, that looked like he was frantic and panicked for a round or 2. You calm back down by the end because you had to and you had to slow down. But it's like, I wonder, and this is me just posing questions, if you would have just been like, it's okay, stay calm, jog, take 2 deep breaths, flip, jog back, take 2 deep breaths, maybe a third, and then just fall back into your rhythm. Everyone at some point kind of reached a point of slowing in that workout, except for Colton Mertens, who won by a long shot and just went unbroken and fast the entire time. I think fatigue and reaching near muscular failure was not like it was going to happen to some degree for everyone, whether it was down to singles or failing reps. Maybe not, but maybe they hoped to do unbroken and they had to go doubles, or they hoped to go unbroken and they got to a couple singles at the end. I think that workout is just dense, right? Like it's in the name, press a dense. It's dense pressing. Like JR is a real creative guy. And in turn, like any added stress and anxiety around the experience can create systemic fatigue through just increasing blood pressure and tension. So that's what I look at. And that was what I saw, and kind of like pose the question to him of like, hey, do you think that was necessary? In the moment, he obviously did, because he ran, but it sprinted. But
Well, I mean, we also saw, what was it, John Young's time on that. He got like 4:08 or something like that prior. Is
John
that correct?
Woods
No,
time.
John Young, because they did all the events prior.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think I saw his. I think he got a 4:08 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
But
we knew the time to beat was already like a 3:10, like in the early heats. Like it was like a 3:10. For context,
yeah,
Jase's time was 4:18. He ended up 15th place in that event. So smack dab middle of the field. Relative to the spread of time, he was a tiny bit behind the median, behind the middle time. But with that said, we took a weakness over the summer. We made it middle of the pack again, right? So along with ring muscle ups, along with pressing endurance and midline endurance, we took these things that I would have argued were deficiencies before, and we put them into practice over the summer, and they're now middle of the pack at the highest level competition he's ever been a part of. I think that's still a win, right?
mm-hmm.
Regardless of if it went exactly to plan or not. I think from a training and adaptation and a learning experience, we gained a lot from doing Crash. So at the end of the weekend, Jase ended up 10th place overall. I think that, again, relative to the field, relative to where he's at in his development, this is just another springboard to build momentum. I think that each and every event Jase has gone to, from my perspective, has just given him a new series of focal points. And we've done our best due diligence to apply them to his training and his development. And we've just been creating these exponential gains over time, or incremental gains over time. If it was exponential, he would be phenomenal, but right now he's just pretty good. But incremental gains over time. And we've been working together now for almost 2 years exactly. And I think that we've gone from zero to hero in those 2 years. And I think that the runway ahead is, a long one. I think you have a lot of room to grow.
Thank you.
So that said, what's next for you in your training? What is there another event coming up? What are you looking forward to?
I have one event coming up, and I think it's happening in 2 weeks. Is that correct? And that's Desert City Classic down in Arizona. I was kind of going back and forth on whether or not I was going to be there, and finally settled on, yes, I will be there. I'm going to be going to compete. It's going to be a fun time, and I'm going to be competing seriously, but the main goal in going this time is going to be like hanging out with Michaela and celebrating her graduation. So
congrats on graduating, Michaela. Yeah. We are happy for you. So a little fun time balanced in with some competing. I mean, I know you're a fierce competitor and you don't take things lightly. So I know that when the clock starts, you're going to turn it on, but
oh yeah,
we're going to,
I can't turn it off. That's the problem.
It's probably more of an issue. So yeah. So in the next 2 weeks, we're going to just do some general training. We've had some conversations about what we can take away from Crash and apply to his training. Going a little bit longer in mixed settings is going to be a big portion of that. And then working on speed preservation and learning how to continue to move at the pace needed to be that next level competitor that he wants to be. I think that Jase, without a doubt, is going to continue to ask more of himself as we go down this road. And I don't think that, again, we're at our end yet. So we have a lot of room to go. And to Shanna's point, is Jase linear? I think that Jase is linear for the first 2 years, and I think we have another year or so. So anyways, I think that Jase's progress has been at almost a 45-degree angle up for 2 years straight. we cannot realistically expect that forever, but I think that we still have a couple more months or a year or two to do that. So we're going to keep.
There's always that law of diminishing return, right? So like you start out and you get all these like baby gains essentially, and then that curve starts to flatten out.
For sure.
And I think we're reaching what I would call is like the elbow of that curve, where it's like it's not going to be like the same 1-to-1 effort in equals growth up.
For sure.
I think it's going to have to be more effort for a smaller amount of growth, and
or just a more detailed approach.
exactly.
Right. So I think,
Which I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is like it's going to take more to get the same, whether that be thought process behind the training or effort in training or nutrition or whatever it is. You can't
so
just
what,
do what I've already done. I have to find another piece to add on to that in order to get extra.
so what things are you going to do and take into your control? What actions are you going to take to do so?
Number one is going to be nutrition. That's been something that I've been putting on the back burner for a long time. And I think now that is one of the stones that needs to be flipped over and dialed in to AT.
For sure. What's the next one?
Next one is probably we're going to change up the training a little bit. And like you said, we're going to be doing some longer pieces and more CrossFit-y pieces, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be like, I think you explained it, like making the easy pieces, like giving a numerical value to them, and really refining the process of how I train.
Right. I think there's value in saying easy is easy, but I think that the higher up that funnel you go and the higher level you get to the sport, the more specific your prescription of pacing needs to be. And I think that we're going to elevate what your easy pace is so that your body becomes more efficient at operating in an aerobic state at said easy pace. Does that make sense?
I think so.
All right. Words. Science. I hope it's right.
I mean, if
otherwise,
you can,
I'm just shooting from the hip, just guessing.
If you can gain anything from this conversation, it's that Harley is definitely the brains of this operation.
I just wing it. I just YouTube stuff. I'm just like, this looks like a cool workout.
I mean,
joke's on us. It's all just mayhem. I'm just kidding.
he's subscribed to the Mayhem blog and just
literally copy paste the whole time.
A1 coaching right there.
All right. All right. So one thing you said you did not say that we're going to implement, and I know that we have talked about it a few times now, is that we're going to do our best effort. Sorry, we're going to take the steps and put our best effort forward in finding a weekend per month where we can get together.
Oh, you wanted to talk about that? Okay,
because I want to put.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I want to sprinkle
the seeds.
Sprinkle the seeds. I want to plant seeds and hopefully get people interested in coming and joining if they are interested. So that said, we're going to shoot for once a month. The first weekend is going to be December 6th-ish is what we're shooting for. Nothing is solidified yet, but that's sort of the timeline we're looking at for the first one.
I'm pretty certain I can make that one.
Cool. Jase will be coming out to Denver for that, and we're going to do a training camp weekend for anyone local to Denver who's a semifinal athlete, a bubble semifinal athlete, an aspiring CrossFit athlete who wants to come and train and just throw down for the weekend. We're probably going to make it happen to where it's going to be 2 full days, Saturday, Sunday, and we're just going to do it at the gym I manage, Arsenal DTC.
Is there a price tag on that?
No, I was going to say open door policy.
Open door.
Or, I mean, if you want to pay a drop-in fee, I'd greatly appreciate it, but otherwise it's just going to be come in, hang out, support, add value to the space, and make each other better. So we're going to try to really elevate our experience and our touch points leading into leading throughout the preseason and leading into quarterfinals. I'm going to put some pressure on Tristan right now. We had a nice call this past week. Tristan is the owner of Ascend Athlete, and we were just chit-chatting about training thoughts, approaches to how to make Jase better, and just spitballing ideas and, just building friendship. So one thing Tristan and I talked about, I threw it out on his radar. I'm going to apply some public pressure here. I hope that we can get together in Houston, go to Greater Heights CrossFit, which is the gym that he works out of, and get together with some other semifinal athletes from around the country. So he coaches Jacob Marlowe, who's been a perennial semifinal athlete. He's coached many games athletes as well. He's a complete savant as a coach. He's a great guy. And I hope that we can plan in early January a kind of a cheap and or open door policy semifinal camp in Houston to get anyone together who's interested. So we will continue to that conversation and planning. We have not talked about dates for that. It was just an idea that we threw out there. So that would be something I would really like to do if possible. And then from there, it's the season. So I think that I'm going to be going out to Oregon likely for either immediately before the Open and or quarterfinals. So hopefully I can elevate my support for Jase, because yes, this is his goal, but I am embodying it as my own goal as well. So, I'm very invested in this process to make Jase that much better of an athlete.
My coach is the coolest dude in the world.
Shut up, nerd.
One thing that I will add to that is if you do end up coming out to for quarters, I spoke with Tom, who runs our gym. And he said that he would be very interested in making an event out of doing quarters at the gym, because it is a much larger window for people to be getting into quarters with the top 25%. We should have several athletes at our gym who will be participating with us if possible.
Yep. Yeah, man, I'm happy to support local affiliates and try to elevate everyone's experience the best that we can. I do not see a problem with that. And I mean, it's not a problem with me. It's a problem for Tom. Like Tom wants to help organize or wants to take that step to organize something. I'm happy to be a supportive role in that if he needs an extra set of hands.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yep. All righty. Well, from here, guys, that's all we have, I believe, at least off the top of my head. We're now an hour 45 into this.
Yeah,
we were supposed to be short, but that's okay.
We always try and make it short, but there's always so much to kind of like unpack in such a short time to do it. So
yeah, I mean, I think it was valuable. I think it was fun. I think there were some fun little side stories in there too. And you're just getting started, dude. We have many more stories to make. We had fun stories already, but we have many more to come. So let's get it going.
One final thought about the weekend. If Todd could pull up the leaderboard real quick, that'd be appreciated. Give him a half a second to do that. If he's going to. Yeah, there we go. If you look at like the story of my weekend as a whole, and this is something that I'm really proud of, like first event and first day as in general was really, really difficult for me. And you can kind of see that in the scores. So I took 22nd to start off with in the first event, then 12th, and that netted me in 18th place overall for day one. And that's why I got bumped so far down in the heat placement. And from there, that was like the ground. And I knew that was going to be like the building point for the entire weekend. And that I couldn't let day one kind of define my weekend as a whole. And it was going to be a lot of work to like make that climb. And before we had even started, I think Harley and I had spoken briefly about it. And I said, I want to be top 10 at Crash, because that's what would make me feel like I belong in that group. Day two, I took a 16th place finish, and that moved me down on the leaderboard one space, which sucked, but kept on chugging. The next event was the sled pull, which I was excited for. Took an 8th place finish, which did me some good on the leaderboard and put me up into the next heat, which was good. Then the following one is the rope climb, which I took a 4th and brought me up even higher, and they reseeded. And I was second to last heat in the day going into the final event, which dropped me down 2 spaces into 10th for a top 10 finish for the overall weekend. And I think that right there, looking at those and how it kind of the big fall to begin with, and then the gradual climb of the mountain over the entirety of the weekend is a really cool story in itself.
For sure. You had a lot of, I mean, I commented on one of your posts or one of the PAX posts, I think after the 12th place finish on the ring muscle ups. Mm-hmm. And I said momentum, and it's because that's what we needed. And like, from there, it's just one event after another. It's just taking it one piece of the weekend at a time and just staying present is the only way that you're going to be able to express your full potential. And I think that anything in the past needs to be left behind, and then only looking at the task at hand, of what's immediately in front of you, to see how you can optimize that. And then the outcome's the outcome, right? I think that that's something that you did fairly well, is just you came back after decompressing between events. You'd come back in, you'd watch a heat sort of roll, and then you would just start turning it on and like shifting your mindset to be ready for the next one. So Yeah, man, you're learning to be a great competitor, and I think that just keep taking these lessons into the next one. One event at a time.
I feel like we need like a hands-in team moment, but we can't.
Okay, that was weird.
All
All
right.
right.